Hi, everybody, and welcome to Inspired Messages with me, Sue, and the April 2026 astrology forecast, which I'm calling the Great Rebirth. I hope March was kind to you, and now the clocks have changed. There will be lighter nights, more spring flowers, so it makes you feel better, doesn't it? I know. At least we're moving towards the summer in the UK anyway. So this is truly, really one of the most remarkable months of the decade from an astrological perspective. So we're moving through a massive Aries stellium, and if you've been watching other astrologers, you probably already heard about it. But it really acts like a cosmic ignition switch. This is a month defined by fire, courage, and an unprecedented restarting of the collective clock. While March brought us the initial stirrings of spring, April arrives with a roar. You know, the ruler Mars of Aries is a massive energy, and if you know any Aries people, they're usually on the go 24/7. So we are dealing with two powerhouse lunations this month, with the first, the full moon in Libra, and then the new moon later on in the month, which I will cover in a bit, in Aries. And there is this rare alignment of 7 planets in Aries that hasn't been seen with this specific flavour of outer planet energy in our lifetime. So, but first, let's look at the full moon in Libra, which is on April the 2nd. And this is basically from the UK perspective. So the time for the UK will be on the 2nd at 3:12 a.m. So everybody will be asleep. But you know, it will still be active before you go to bed, and it will be active on the night of the 2nd as well. So if you do want to do a ritual, a full moon ritual, you know, it will still be okay to do it. So the degree is approximately 12 degrees of Libra. So if you know where your sun is, if you have any planets at 12 Libra, then this is obviously going to affect you. So the month begins with the pink moon in the sign of the scales in the UK, and this full moon will illuminate the night sky, and because it's about the scales, um, it's about relationships of all sorts. So it does bring a sense of relationship reckoning. What does it mean personally for us? Well, Libra is the sign of the other. Okay, but this full moon is actually a mirror. The full moon is always opposite the sun. The full moon and the sun is in Aries, and the moon is in Libra. And Aries is about you, the individual, and Libra is about the other person, your relationships. And it asks, where have you compromised your truth to keep a false peace? I actually know quite a few people who are doing this. And I've done it myself in the past, so I know it's very easy to do. So really, this full moon is about emotional balancing. You may feel a pull between your personal desires, which is the Aries sun, and your commitments to other people in your life, which is the Libra moon. But it'd be really, really, really good if you could release it. It's a perfect time to let go of people-pleasing habits or toxic dynamics that no longer serve your growth. And for those in the UK, this moon it emphasizes local community and domestic harmony. It's a beautiful time for clearing the air in your home or with close partners or anybody that you've got, like, maybe somebody at work. What does it mean globally? It's Libra is about diplomacy, and Aries can be about discord. So on the world stage, Libra rules treaties, law, and open enemies. And with the sun in fiery Aries opposing this moon, we may really see heightened tension in international relations, where fairness is called into question. So we need to watch for major legal rulings or shifts in global alliances that seek to restore a sense of justice, even if the process feels turbulent, because it will do with the Aries energy. Also, in this chart, Mercury is in Pisces, making a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. And Venus is in Taurus, squaring Pluto in Aquarius. And both these transits are also active on the 3rd of April. This can be a great time to focus on a big idea and work on those big plans for it. And you may feel excited and optimistic for any future plans you are focusing on, because we're talking here about Jupiter, which, always likes to expand and make plans bigger. Venus in Taurus, square Pluto in Aquarius, there can be a challenge as it's a square and it can affect relationships. Pluto likes to win and will manipulate, so back off if this seems to be happening. You can use this energy for more creative, passions. So Mars will enter Aries also, and so that's on the 9th. The sign it naturally rules. So Mars is happy here and works well. This is a strong energy which brings enthusiasm, motivation, excitement, and you will want to win and can take the lead, take the initiative, and get ahead of the game. And if you are an Aries, then that's your natural energy. And if you have Mars in Aries, like I do, then that is natural for me to be not sitting down. I very rarely sit down in the day. I'm always on the go, So Aries have always got something that they're doing or planning, so for the future. So I think that that's really good, the Mars in Aries. So but on the 13th, the Mars will conjunct Neptune, also in Aries, and because Neptune rules intuition, your intuition can be strong and powerful, and you can get, lots of amazing insights due to the energy of Neptune into what you should be doing. So if you could do some meditation, maybe around, the 12th, 13th, 14th, the Mars will help, with the action, and you can be more motivated subconsciously as well because of the Neptune on what you want to do. And also on the 13th, Venus will sextile Jupiter. Your time with others could probably be really good. Venus is very social. And this is a sextile, and it's Jupiter in Cancer. So maybe having a nice time with your family, your friends. You'll be more open and chatty. You'll have lots of opinions, and you'll enjoy swapping stories and situations that have happened to you. And this can open you up to new, maybe social occasions, and meetings that feel, worth doing. You get something out of it, and you feel upbeat because of the Jupiter. It brings a positive energy into the mix. So on the 14th, Mercury in Pisces will be sextile Uranus in Taurus. And Mercury is going to leave Aries today on the 14th, actually. And so it's actually at the what we call the anaretic degree, it's 29 degrees, and so it has more energy, it has more power. Okay, so but before it leaves, it does sextile Uranus. So this last minute aspect can bring you sudden insights, aha moments, and brilliant ideas out of nowhere. And this is due to Uranus. So pay attention to what you come up with. Maybe, write it down to keep track of it. Otherwise, you might forget it. And then on the 14th, as I said, Mercury does enter Aries. It finally leaves Pisces because it was retrograde in Pisces for a while. So it was longer in Pisces than normal. And it moves into Aries and joining the other planets to make up the 7-planet stellium. So, you know, actually, there are going to be more. I think there's 10 bodies, sky bodies, going to be in that Aries, because I think also Eris, which is also in Aries, and Eris doesn't stand any nonsense. She fights for the underdog. So she's going to be there as well. So you could say 8, and then there's 2 more. Um, but the 7 major planets are really enough to make amazing change. Let's put it like that. So this stellium is going to happen on the 16th. So we're going to have the Sun, the Moon, Chiron, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune. And this is the day before the new moon. The sky reaches, a fever pitch, really, having 7 major bodies, and I'm saying there's more really, in the first sign of the zodiac is like having 7 different engines all trying to start at once. So these, it's going to kind of make or add more fuel to the fire as it is, because they're all there together. So, what does it mean for the world? Well, I think it will be a busy day. I think definitely there should be lots going on, and we know there's all. I mean, I don't know what people are watching, whether they're watching the new media, which I watch mainly, um, or something else. But there is a lot going on daily around the world, and you can hardly kind of catch your breath before there's a new headline, really. So let's look at the Saturn and Neptune in Aries. These 2 giants are still fresh in their new sign, and Saturn brings structure to the fire, while Neptune brings the vision. And together in Aries, they signal the birth of new leadership styles and revolutionary technologies. And I think it also brings a global identity shift. We're seeing the death of the old guard. I know I've talked about it for years. But the world is impatient. There is really a collective I can energy that could manifest as grassroots movements or a sudden aggressive push for independence in various places around the world. And we can see this running as an undercurrent. It can also bring innovation, so expect breakthroughs in energy, pioneering, medical treatments, Chiron, and the pioneering spirit in global exploration, which is very Aries. So what can it mean personally? Because this is an internal revolution, and we're actually thinking that it's the point of no return, that this is when the world changes for the better. And I need to be positive. I am a positive person. I've got a strong Jupiter in my chart, which makes me very optimistic. So I remain so. Even though what we're looking at doesn't seem overly positive, I think it will be okay, but we've still got to go through the ups and downs to get there. So looking at it from a mental overdrive, with Mercury involved, your mind will be racing with ideas because I have Mercury in my birth chart in Aries. So, it doesn't stop. And it also is very impatient. I think it's vital to ground yourself. If you can, go out in nature, hug a tree. I saw something this week about how good it is to hug a tree, and that as electrical beings, we connect to the trees because they also have that energy, and they can be very, very healing. So, walking on the grass is maybe a bit early at the moment, a bit cold. So, hugging a tree would be a really great option. So, Chiron's presence in this stellium means our deepest wounds are being cauterized by the Aries fire, and we aren't just feeling the pain, we're finding the courage to act despite it. And, I think it's important to look where Aries falls in your chart because that area of life is being completely demolished and rebuilt. For me, those planets are mainly in the eighth. Um, so, the eighth house is already about change, massive change. So I will let you know, um, and it won't be, immediate. It'll be over the next few months. So, as astrologers, we can look back in history and find out what was happening last time Saturn and Neptune came together. And the specific alignment happens only once every 36 years. And it has a historical reputation for dissolving the old to build the new. Okay. So, this is about dissolving frontiers. So, to understand the April 2026 stellium with the Saturn and Neptune involved, we have to look at what happened the last three times these two giants met. Saturn represents walls, structures, and reality, while Neptune represents dreams, dissolution, and the invisible. And when they touch, physical walls often literally or figuratively come down. So in 1989, and I remember this happening, um, yeah, it's just amazing. I was going to be, I think I was 49. Um, the fall of the Berlin Wall was massive. And that conjunction, that Saturn Neptune conjunction, was in the sign of Capricorn. So the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union began to dismantle. So, what's the lesson in that? Well, I think it's hard, cold structures that seem permanent can vanish overnight when the collective consciousness shifts. And that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for everybody to have, this consciousness shift and realize that everything is not as it seems, you know, but there's still many, many people in a dream world, not even thinking anything's wrong, apart from the fact that food's going up and there's a war here and a war there. I think, it's important for us to put the energy out that everything's going to be okay, um, because, words have power and that's all about vibration. And so that's really why I am positive. And so, I think things will change and it might be very quick. So we have to hang on to that, I think. In 1952, 53, we had that conjunction, and it was this time it was in Libra. So it coincided with the death of Joseph Stalin and the end of a rigid era in the Soviet Union. And I also remember that, obviously, because of my age. But the result was a major shift in the balance, which is Libra, of global power, and the beginning of the Cold War's most intense structural build-up. So what was the lesson? The lesson was old leadership must pass to make way for a new social contract. And I think that's what's happening as well. You've just got to be patient, with all these planets in Aries, it's difficult to be patient. I natally have 3 planets in Aries, so it's quite hard for me. But I am learning patience because I know it's one of my life lessons. So the last time I want to bring up was 1917, and that was the Russian Revolution, and the conjunction was in the sign of Leo. And that's the sign of kings and royalty. So the result was the fall of the Romanov dynasty and the total collapse of the Russian Empire. And what was the lesson? The crown is not immune to the dissolving power of Neptune when the structures, Saturn, are no longer sustainable. Well, I know it's not in Leo, that it's in Aries, but we have things going on in the royal family that suggest that this could happen in the UK. So I'm just going to leave that one with you. But why is, this one different? It's April 2026 and it is in Aries, and why is it different? So while the previous conjunctions were in signs like Capricorn and Leo, government and royalty, look, this one's in Aries. The Aries point, this is the very, very first degree of the entire zodiac. Okay, so the global impact is the birth of the interconnected self. This is about the birth of a new identity for humanity. Okay, and Aries is the pioneer. It's known as the pioneer. We are likely seeing the rise of leaders who don't fit the old Saturnian mold. They are visionaries, which connects to Neptune, who are willing to take risks, which is Aries. So new systems are likely, just as 1917 and 1989 changed the world's map. 2026 is rewriting really the rules of engagement. This could manifest as radical new ways of handling digital identity, decentralized power, or even how we view our physical health and boundaries. And we do know that there are a lot of good people doing very good things in the background. I want to make that clear because people automatically go to the negative and think about the WEF, and all the things that we've been told that are going to happen by 2030. So I don't want to go into that because if you are aware, you will know all about it. I think there's so many good things and so many good things being done out there by good people in the background. I think that we could have new systems that do decentralized power and, bring us new radical ways of handling everything, where we're free and we're safe and we're healthy, which is what we want. So the Saturn Neptune message is to stop dreaming, which is the Neptune, and start building, which is the Saturn. And Saturn demands a plan. So we have to make a plan, either personally or these other people I'm talking about in the background making plans. And Neptune provides the inspiration, and Aries provides the fire to move and be that pioneer. So if you have a dream, a Neptunian dream, something creative or spiritual or visionary, April 2026 is when Saturn gives them the tools to make it a physical reality. It's no longer just a nice idea. It becomes a necessity. Okay. So last time these planets met in 1989, we saw the Berlin Wall come down. This time the walls are coming down, are within our own minds. With 7 planets in Aries, the universe isn't just asking you to change, it's forcing a total reboot of who you think you are. Okay. So the day after, the new moon is in Aries, and that's April the 17th. And the degree is 27 of Aries. I actually have my Mercury there in my birth chart. So new moon is going to be on Aries. It's going to be on my Mercury. So am I going to be talking about new things? What I'm thinking, I don't know. But if the 16th of April was the gathering of the forces, the 17th is the launch. This new moon is the most potent seed planting moment, really, of 2026. And it really means we need to have lots of courage, you know. And unlike other new moons that suggest quiet reflection, this one does demand a physical step forward. If you've been waiting to launch a project, you know, a new direction, a personal venture, this is your green light to go for it. The 27th degree of Aries is a degree of high endurance. You are planting seeds that have the strength to survive the long haul. And what's the global meaning? Okay, so globally, this new moon, could coincide with the unveiling of a major new initiative, perhaps a new space mission, a radical economic shift, or the crowning of a new type of hero in the public eye. The Aries point, remember, is the start of the zodiac. And so this is the energy at its peak, making the events of the new moon felt for months to come. And you might like to do a new moon ritual where you plan maybe your next 28 days, but also maybe ahead as well. I would definitely do that because the stellium is still active at this new moon. So you've still got the Neptune and the Saturn in there helping you to bring your dreams into reality. So I would definitely do a new moon ritual. So jumping to the 19th, Mars is obviously in Aries, it conjuncts Saturn in Aries. Energy will be disciplined and you can have total control over it. You know, you need to focus on whatever you want to do. You want to get on with it, you know, achieve something, especially on the 19th. Also on the 19th, the Sun enters Taurus. So with the Sun entering Taurus, it's going to leave Aries, and it will be a different energy, you know, over the next month. And you can improve your stability and security, which is very Taurian. You can feel more confident and connect to your values, which is also very Taurian. It can be very stabilizing, and you can find, you know, what you want and have the, you know, um, you've got the staying power because it's fixed. Taurus is a fixed sign. And if you're a Taurian like me, I'm going to say happy birthday. I know lots of Taurians. And Taurians naturally want to help everybody. So, it's a very helpful sign. So I'm sure you will all be helping people to move forward in some way, shape, or form. So on the 20th, Mercury in Aries will conjunct the Saturn in Aries. So this is mental discipline. It can help you stay focused again on your ideas, because it's Mercury. And you could do great work on your long-term plans. Any details, you can see everything. You're not going to miss anything. You can see all the angles in what you want to do. So, very good for writing. Maybe I would say also maybe signing a contract would be quite good on the 20th as well. So if you need to sign something, I'll possibly leave it till the 20th. And Mercury in Aries is also conjunct Mars in Aries that day. So that again, that's high energy for pursuing your ideas and what you want and making them into something real. And you can take the initiative really to make it happen. This is a fantastic time for pursuits, and realizing, your an idea and putting it really into action. The 24th, Venus enters Gemini. So it moves into Gemini from Taurus. It's a sign of the mind, as we know. And so this is great if you need to communicate in your relationships over the next few weeks. You will feel like you are on the same wavelength, so you can be more understood. It'd be easier to get your point across. The 25th, finally, Uranus enters Gemini out of Taurus. So it's been a long haul. I've got my sun in Taurus, and so I've really felt that Uranus hitting my sun very, very much. So I am glad that it's moving out and going into Gemini. It's a huge energy, really, as Uranus, the planet of change, officially moves into Gemini and will be there till 2033. Uranus moves into a new sign, and it joins, the other planets that have moved into new signs, Saturn, Neptune into Aries, and Pluto into Aquarius. And this is likely to be part of the new world we're moving into. It's like a puzzle where all the pieces are falling into place. Uranus in Gemini can open your mind to unconventional ideas, views, approaches, plans, and topics, and you can give a lot more attention to your future. Consider ideas and plans and that get you closer to what you dream of. And Uranus in Gemini is the sign of the inventor, the genius. So we all have the opportunity for the next 7 years or so to be that genius, and let's see how it plays out. I think it's going to be very interesting. So on the 25th, the Sun is going to square Pluto in Aquarius. So, something might be getting under your skin. This is a square, it can be irritating, frustrating. You might bottle your feelings up and want to explode. I think it's important to have, if you feel that, to have a healthy outlet, like, to maybe I don't know, do some exercise or do a run or something, if you're feeling pent up on the 25th. So on the 26th, Venus in Gemini now is going to sextile Neptune, obviously in Aries. So compassion can be strong with your relationships, because we're talking about Venus. And you can be a lot more understanding. You can be gentle with the ones that you love, and you can show care. So the 26th is a pretty nice day to be with your significant other and, be sweet with them and, be kind and sweet and, look after them. And you may, on that day as well, Mercury is in Aries squaring Jupiter in the Cancer. So you may want to give yourself some time to let your mind wander and roam. It's okay to give yourself a break from anything demanding, particularly anything mental. It's important to recharge your batteries. And on the 28th, Venus in Gemini is going to trine the Pluto in Aquarius. So a trine is good. You know, your emotional bonds you have with others can be strengthened and you can enjoy growing closer. You can share with loved ones and you can get more in return. You know, it's a win-win situation. Okay. So kind of that's the kind of end of um April, and but a little summary. So really, the first half of April, I would say, focus on balance and don't let the coming fire from the new moon in Aries, you know, burn your bridges before you check the foundations of the Libra full moon. And then mid-April, the 16th, 17th, you can expect a cosmic reset. This is a time for bold decisions. The universe is backing the brave. So the affirmation, I have two actually. I've got a short one. I have the courage to begin again. Hand on your heart every morning. I have the courage to begin again. And the longer one is I have positive energy, vision, and courage to move forward with the structure to make my life and those around me happy and successful. Now, repeat that. I have positive energy, vision, and courage to move forward with the structure to make my life and those around me happy and successful. But if you want to do the short one, I have the courage to begin again. Okay, so I will put some videos for you to watch that you might not have seen under my video. So please look at that. Obviously, I do, you know, lots of things. So have a look at my website, which is astrologysue.com. I'm on Facebook, Astrology Sue Fletcher. And, you know, let me know where your stellium of planets, what house it's in. If you don't know your chart, it's more difficult. I understand that. But anyway, you know, I want you to have a great April. It's going to be Easter. So, you know, you will be with family and, you know, it's a family time. And let's hope this lovely weather, the sun shines. And I will see you at the beginning of May, after, you know, what I think will be a bit of a tumultuous month. But I'm sure we're all going to be okay. So it's not about being in fear. It's about, you know, looking forward to the bright future that we have. Because there are, as I say, very many good people out there doing very many good things. Equally, I know there are people on the other side, but I don't want to give them any energy. I don't certainly don't want to give them my Mars energy. So take care. Have a great April, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now. Bye bye.